Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the processional. The processional is led today by our mace bearer, Dr. Jim Solti, Chair for the Department of Graduate Studies in the College of Aeronautics, and is our mace bearer carrying the ceremonial university mace. Are the candidates for master, baccalaureate, and associate degrees. Now entering is our platform party. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of colors presented by the Naval Air Technical Training Center Performing Unit Color Guard and the singing of the national anthem by the Naval Air Technical Training Center vocal team.
Thank you to the Naval Air Technical Training Center Performing Unit Color Guard and to the Naval Air Technical Training Center vocal team. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pablo Alvarez, and I'm the Dean of Students for the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Worldwide campus. On behalf of the Platform Party and the faculty, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the 2022 commencement ceremony. At this time, I would like to introduce you to our stage guest this morning. Please hold your applause until everyone has been recognized. Starting in the back on your left, Dr. Jim Solti, Chair, Department of Graduate Studies, College of Aeronautics, and our mace bearer. Dr. Manish Sharma, Dean, College of Business. Dr. Ken Witcher, Dean, College of Aeronautics. Rear Admiral Kyle Kozad, United States Navy, retired, who will be our commencement speaker today. Dr. John Watrett, Chancellor for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Worldwide Campus. Dr. P. Barry Butler, University President. Also with us, we have Miss Amy Kozad, spouse of Rear Admiral Kyle Kozad, Miss Evans Ramsey, Chief Education and Training for Hurlburt Field, Florida, Captain Sterling Gillum, U.S. Navy Retired Director of the Naval Aviation Museum, and Captain Terrence Shashadi, U.S. Navy Commanding Officer of Pensacola. Please join me in thanking our guest to be here. At this time, I'm going to ask you to stand as I welcome Mr. Jim Pepin to come forward to offer the invocation.
Wise and gracious one, we ask your blessing upon the students, faculty, and staff of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. We have been called to the high task of seeking knowledge, promoting ethics, and seeking growth in mind, body, and spirit. We give thanks for the gift of these graduates here today and the ways in which they have made this university a better place for having been here. We ask that you grant students and family joy and satisfaction as they see their dreams of graduation fulfilled this day. We ask this in the confidence of your grace. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Pepin. It is my pleasure now to welcome to the podium Dr. John Wattret, Chancellor for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Worldwide.
Good afternoon, graduates, family, friends, and guests. We truly are thankful to be together for this day of celebration. Graduation is the most anticipated event of the year, not just for the feeling of excitement that comes from completing your degree, but to recognize that each of you is here today because of your commitment and determination to push yourselves towards graduation. Like all of you, in 1925, two men aspired to greatness. T. Higby Embry, an entrepreneur, and John Paul Riddle, a barnstormer, launched the Embry-Riddle Company that taught flight, specialized in airmail delivery, and coordinated aircraft sales. After a series of mergers and acquisitions, the Embry-Riddle Company can be traced to what is now known as American Airlines. After the merger, Embry did retire, but Riddle, whose passion for aviation was unwavering, found a new opportunity. He took a new partner, John McKay, and they established Embry-Riddle School of Aviation in 1939, located in Miami, Florida. As a school of aviation, it thrived and grew, but as so often happens throughout history, war interrupted. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, Riddle and McKay knew that they could offer something. Without hesitation, they put all their full effort behind aiding the Allied war effort by training cadets to be pilots and providing mechanics and technicians. They also established a presence in São Paulo, Brazil in support of related efforts. Eventually, Embry-Riddle became one of the first institutions approved to educate veterans under the GI Bill. It wasn't until Jack Hunt was named president in 1963 that the school, which was then named Embry-Riddle Aeronautical Institute, moved from Miami to Daytona Beach, Florida. In fact, in 1965, the move took place over a weekend with the help from civic leaders and citizens in the Daytona Beach community, known as Operation Bootstrap. 31 trucks relocated Embry-Riddle to Daytona Beach, and this is where the headquarters now is, and the main campus. In 1970, 2 years after earning SACS accreditation, the name was changed to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and it has not stopped growing since. With 2 residential campuses, one in Daytona Beach, another in Prescott, Arizona, and a worldwide campus with over 100 locations in US, Europe, Asia, and online, this university, your university, continues to promote excellence in aviation, aerospace, and space. Like your alma mater, you have grown beyond where you started. We know that the journey that brought you here today is not one that you have done alone. Some of the faculty who guided, mentored, and taught you for the first class to your capstone are here today to celebrate with you. Distinguished faculty, we've got representative faculty with us. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Please be seated. The dedicated staff who helped and advised you, mapping out your journey to today, are here to celebrate you. Staff, please stand to be recognized. Thank you. And finally, the most honored guests, your families and friends who have supported your journey on this path, are celebrating you today. Graduates, please stand and acknowledge your families for their support. Please be seated. At this time, it's my honor to welcome Dr. P. Barry Butler, University President, to the podium to officially open the commencement ceremony. Dr. Butler.
Thank you, Chancellor Watrette. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, it's my pleasure to declare the 2022 commencement ceremony of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University now officially open. Welcome and congratulations. This is a tremendous achievement in your lives. You should take great pride in your accomplishments, graduates. Your friends and family members out here who have supported you along the way should feel that pride as well. And I'm honored to help celebrate this shining victory, your graduation from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. As graduates of Embry-Riddle, you are joining an elite community of more than 150,000 alumni. Wherever life takes you from here, you can move forward towards a bright future with confidence, knowing that you can accomplish things you never imagined possible. When life throws challenges in your path, which it will, by the way, please remember that you've gained knowledge at Embry-Riddle that goes well beyond your technical skills. In addition, what you've learned about airport operations, airworthiness, business administration, analytics, etc., you've gained fundamental strengths as a person and as a leader. You understand the importance of patience and persistence, and you know your own worth as the value of your entire team, and don't ever forget that as you move forward. Trust in your ability to succeed, and please call on one another, your colleagues out here today and all the others around the world when you need support. Remember that you'll forever be an Embry-Riddle Eagle. So now, without further delay, it's my honor to introduce a very special guest, Rear Admiral Kyle Kozad, United States Navy, retired, the current president and CEO of this amazing museum, who will provide your keynote address. Now, I should go off script here and tell you that I'm a bit of a museum sort of snob when it comes to aviation museums, and this place here is my favorite by far. So some of you may have noticed I arrived about 3 hours early, and that's not just to get my robes on, it was to enjoy this wonderful place that the Admiral has under his leadership. Admiral Kozad's journey has been one of the great achievements and courage. After graduating from the Naval Academy in 1985, he launched an active duty career focused on aviation training and operations. He commanded at the squadron, wing, and group levels within both the U.S. Navy and the Canadian Air Force as an exchange instructor pilot. Admiral Kozad also served as the 22nd Senior Director of the White House Situation Room, as Commander of the Joint Task Force Guantanamo, as the 9th Commander of the Naval Education and Training Command, and in other key leadership positions. His life took an unexpected turn during his final Navy tour when he was injured and paralyzed below the waist. Yet he continued to achieve and succeed, focusing on extensive therapy and becoming an accomplished athlete in the Department of Defense, Warrior Games in Tampa, Florida. Admiral Kozad even remained on active duty and returned to full duty for his remaining 30 months in uniform, becoming the DoD's only serving admiral confined to a wheelchair. For his many contributions as a mentor for others with spinal cord injuries and his support for the Navy Wounded Warrior Program, Admiral Kozad was recognized as one of the Department of Defense Exceptional Employees with Disabilities in 2020. I look forward to hearing more about his remarkable life, so please join me in welcoming our highly distinguished commencement speaker, the Naval Aviation Museum Foundation President and CEO, Admiral Kozad. Sir, would you come up?
Thank you very much. So first off, that was an overly kind and overly generous introduction. I appreciate that. But I will tell you that the reason this young lady is in the front seat is because I love for her to hear those introductions. Because I just may have a pile of dirty laundry and some dishes that I forgot to do last night, and that usually buys me about 24 hours of grace. Now, it didn't strike me until I saw today's program that I was your commencement speaker today. And, you know, we consider this aviation museum as the cathedral of naval aviation. So I've got to give a bit of a confession right now before I jump into my remarks. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1985, played basketball for a couple of years, and I've got to be honest with each one of you distinguished graduates that my very first 4-week grade point average was 1.4. I wish I could tell you that was on a 2.0 scale, but it was not. And so, long story short, after about a semester and a half of trying to play basketball and work it out in the classroom, my academic advisor called me in and said, "Hey, what do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I want to do one thing. I want to fly airplanes." And so with that, we both agreed that, you know, some athletes in college sports get hurt and they're medically retired. You're meeting the guy who is academically retired from basketball at the United States Naval Academy. So I feel much better now that I've got that confession off my chest. So first off, congratulations to our graduates. This is a great day and an exceptionally incredible venue for you all. I'm sure I'm a bit biased with the location because I've got tons of personal history here. You see, nearly 2 years ago, this was the same place that I retired from the Navy after 35 years of active duty service. The ceremony was very similar. We have great backdrops. We have great things to look at. It's just a surreal place to be in. But my ceremony was a little different. You see, I was only allowed 10 guests. So the big decision of my day was, do I have one row of 10 or 2 of 5? And I said, I don't care. It really doesn't matter at that point. But for me, this is an exceptional day because you are able to share this with your family and friends, and it warms my heart to see so many people in this incredible venue today. Whenever somebody asks me what I love about my job and about this museum, it doesn't take me long to really come up with an answer, and I don't even have to think about it. As you look around the museum today, we've got 150 just incredibly restored aircraft from different times in history, all with different stories around different campaigns in the world, different times of naval aviation. But that's not the thing I love most. You see, quite frankly, that's impressive, but the really impressive part to me is it's not the hardware, it's the people. The people who maintain these aircraft, the people who flew these aircraft, the people who supported the missions. They breathed life into naval aviation. Within this museum, you'll find evidence of presidents. You'll find evidence of multiple enemy-killed aces. You'll have folks who received the Medal of Honor recipient. But for me, they're the exception. Because quite frankly, naval aviation is all about a different theme. It's about otherwise common people who did very uncommon things in the service of their country. Common people who came from a variety of backgrounds, much like you all did today, who answered a call to serve. And as this moment feels great for each one of you today, today is really a new beginning for each of you. So with that new beginning in mind, I'll ask you a simple question. What will you do? What uncommon things lie before you in life that you'll be able to share with your family, your community, and your country once you've walked across this podium, and received your diploma today? Now, I have a favorite story of common people who did uncommon things that really unfolds in this museum. It's an incredibly powerful story that unfortunately doesn't get told enough. It's a story about Ensign Jesse Brown and Lieutenant J.G. Tom Hudner. Jesse Brown was from a poor sharecropper's family in Mississippi. They were so poor that, quite frankly, Jesse didn't have shoes for most of the time that he was in school. But Brown worked hard and eventually became first in his family to attend college and eventually achieve his dream of flying Navy aircraft. Jesse Brown was our nation's first African-American naval aviator. Tom Hudner, on the other hand, was from a well-to-do middle-class family in Massachusetts. Were it not for their love of flying, their passion for service, the two of them probably wouldn't have met. But they did become squadron mates in Fighter Squadron 32, flying the F-4U Corsair during the Korean War. The two men, an unlikely pair, became very close friends during a time in our country where segregation and racism were rampant. These were two common men bonded through the camaraderie that defines naval aviation. And their story is one that needs to be told again and again and again. You see, one fateful mission during the Korean War, Jesse Brown's Corsair took enemy fire that ruptured a fuel line. With no other options, he was forced to crash land in mountainous terrain in freezing cold weather near the chosen reservoir. Tom Hudner, still airborne with an airplane that was perfectly serviceable, watched as his wingmen descended into an explosive crash landing. And as he watched, Hudner had a decision to make. He could retreat in his perfectly fine aircraft, go back, be safe, and fly another day, but that didn't make it the right answer. No, not knowing Jesse's condition, his friend, his wingman, Hudner made a very hard decision. What would he do? He took his aircraft fully serviceable and he crash landed it right next to Brown's aircraft to try to render assistance. But try as he did, Brown's legs were pinned beneath the fuselage of the aircraft, unable to be extracted from the wreckage. And after several hours, Ensign Jesse Brown succumbed to his injuries. Fortunately, Hudner was extracted with a search and rescue helicopter shortly thereafter and was able to return to his ship and return to the war to continue flying. Several years later, Hudner was recognized for his uncommon accomplishment by recognition of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now think about that story for just a minute. Two very different men from very different places, one white, the other black, and during a time of turbulence in our nation of extreme racism. But none of that mattered to each one of these men. They were two otherwise common people committed to the service of their country and to each other. One died and one lived, both of them committed to uncommon actions. So I love that story because it tells about the fiber of this country that we all are fortunate to live in. But you might ask, so what? I'm here to graduate today. Well, we are here to celebrate your accomplishments, and you're correct. But since graduation is a huge compliment, for some, it's a celebration of your first degree. For some, this is a second or third degree or even an advanced degree. But with your graduation comes a hard question that I'll pose for you today. What's next? What will you do? How will you make a difference? What uncommon accomplishments will you put forward? 36 years ago, I had just graduated from the Naval Academy where we learned about concepts, and only concepts, like service and leadership through 4 years of a pretty rigorous academic program. And when I graduated at the ripe old age of 23, looking back, I realized that I had no idea what it meant to make a difference or how to have an impact on anything other than myself. I just wanted to fly. And fly I did. I was very fortunate. I also discovered, though, that as a naval officer, I was in a position where I could influence other people. I could take care of the folks who worked for me, and I could make a difference. For me, that became incredibly important, to go the extra mile and make a difference for men and women that worked for me. The ability to make a difference fueled my passion to continue to serve and to lead others. So for my 35 years in uniform, that became my purpose, to make a small difference in the lives and the careers of the men and women who worked with me. Didn't matter whether I was on a ship, whether I was deployed far from home, serving in the White House, or in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I always made the time to try to make a difference. Now, for me, life changed in dramatic fashion on March 16th of 2019. I have almost no memory of my accident, but I do clearly remember a few feelings of helplessness and confusion as I laid on the floor, unable to move. I have very little recollection of the first responders, the ambulance ride, or even the pre-operatory procedures that they put me through. The only thing I remember was seeing my wife as the anesthetics took hold and they wheeled me into the operating room. 18 hours later, I emerged from a fog and became aware for the first time I had lost all feeling below my waist. And as a naval aviator, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, this sucks. Once fully awake, my neurosurgeon elaborated in more medical terms, delivering the news that I had 2 fractured vertebrae, T12 and L2, and significant trauma to my spinal cord. And he gave me the prognosis that I had already known. I would never get out of a wheelchair again. I was paralyzed for life. Again, I told myself, that really does suck. But for me, the next few days really forced me to answer the same question I'm asking you. What will you do? Very different circumstances, but that's what I posed myself with. And surprisingly, answering that question for myself was really much easier than I thought it would be. I only had 2 options. I could lay in bed, I could feel sorry for myself, I could play the why me card and watch ESPN for the rest of my life, or I could figure out what my new purpose was, what my new normal looked like, and how I could make a difference for other people. So that's what I did. I took a deep breath, and I tackled my new normal head on. Find a purpose, find a new meaning, and get back into the game. That's exactly what I set out to do. I promised myself and my wife that I was going to work hard and physically regain as much as I possibly could. Maybe nothing would change, but I knew nothing would change if I didn't try. So after a week in the ICU, I started inpatient physical therapy and occupational therapy, and without a question, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So think about this. I couldn't even roll over in bed by myself. I had to learn how to walk. I learned how to feed myself again. I had to learn how to do all the basic functions that a 2-year-old does. But everything that I did was compounded by difficulty by 200%. Fortunately, I'm not a quitter by nature. I found my inspiration in my family, my friends, and the nurses and doctors who worked every day to improve me, one step at a time. About a week into my PT and OT, I had this crazy idea. I wanted to continue to serve my Navy. I wanted to return to full duty, whatever that meant. And I will tell you, first time I told my wife that, I'm pretty sure she gave me a condescending look, patronized me a little, and said, "That's nice, dear. Get some sleep." But that was my goal, my inspiration, my North Star, if you will. I worked to eventually stand with assistance from my wheelchair on legs that, by medical definition, shouldn't have allowed me to do that. And despite any lack of feeling, I worked hard to take my very first initial step. It was very mechanical in nature, using a walker, but then another, 10 others, and that turned into hundreds of others. And I didn't stop because I wanted to return to full duty. I wanted to continue to serve my country. After 6 months, what seemed like thousands of hours of PT, I returned to full duty, as much as a guy in a wheelchair can do. And I commanded the Navy's largest shore command, to include 50% of the month where my wife and I were on travel visiting our different commands. And you all have heard this phrase before, gluttons like punishment, right? Well, guess what I did? I decided to get involved in adaptive sports. And that's when I was fortunate enough to be selected as the Navy's most senior and by far most oldest adaptive athlete on Team Navy in Tampa, Florida at the DoD War Games. Never out of a wheelchair again? Really, Doc? Do we have any doctors in the audience today? Okay, good, because usually when I get to this part, I ask them to put their hands over their ears, because I'm here to tell you something. Doctors don't know everything. Doctors can't control what you have within your heart and with your soul. And with that, I set out to prove my doctor wrong. In the end, I was able to achieve my goal. I returned to nearly full duty and completed my final 30 months in uniform, where I was described in one magazine article as the admiral who works from a wheelchair. I'd always told myself that following the accident, there was this guy named Franklin Delano Roosevelt who led our country from a wheelchair. If Roosevelt could be the president of the United States, there was nothing that was going to hold me back from being the commander at NETSI. Because what was really important was not how I got from one meeting to another, but what I had here and what I had in here. For me, it was clear that my accident wasn't an end, but instead a new beginning. And as I worked to become independent, I also poured myself into mentoring and advocating for other seriously ill and injured veterans, always willing to tell my story so that others might just find a kernel of hope or inspiration in what I've known. I never profess to have the answers, but I always want to share. my experiences. My story wasn't just one about some guy who got hurt, but I consider it about a common guy who worked his butt off to overcome uncommon odds. Telling that story and demonstrating to others that life will throw you curveballs. And when it does, it's not that pitch that defines you, it's how you react in the batter's box. Achieving any goal that we set out for ourselves in life demands we overcome challenges and adversity, and they will come for each one of us. Many times with people telling us along the way what they think we can do, what they think we're capable of. Just like my surgeon did. Well, I never subscribed to the concept of can't. I've learned that success in any arena is defined by your willingness to be tougher than the circumstances which challenge you. So as each one of you go forward and decide what you will do, what will you do with your diploma, what will you do with your life, and ask yourself how an otherwise common person can make an uncommon difference. We'll all face that adversity in our lives. Don't be surprised when it hits you, but approach that adversary with positive attitude. I've approached that mindset, and I'll never let anybody tell me I can't do something. Instead, I've worked hard to show everyone what I can do. It's always okay to ask for help. It's always okay to be different. But in my experience, it's not okay just to give up. So again, to each one of our graduates today, congratulations on your big day and your accomplishment. Keep dreaming big and go after making a positive difference. And think about this. What will you do to make an uncommon difference? God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Admiral, incredibly inspirational, I know, for not just the graduates, but for those of us up here on the stage as well. So on behalf of everyone, thank you. We have a little gift to demonstrate our appreciation and gratitude for you speaking to our graduates today, but also for the words and the message that you send. So on behalf of Embry-Riddle, we'd like to present you with a very special gift from us to you.
Embry-Riddle's long-term support of the military is a point of pride for us. In fact, U.S. News & World Report has named Embry-Riddle #1 for best online bachelor's programs for veterans for 7 straight years. Many of the graduates here today are veterans in active duty. You will know who they are as they cross the stage because they will be wearing a blue stole. Will they and all the members of the military and veterans who are here today please stand and be recognized? Thank you for your sacrifice. You can be seated. At this time, the faculty of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Worldwide are pleased to present the candidates for undergraduate degrees. As we announce our graduate students, I apologize, for graduate degrees. As we announce our graduate students, you will see that they have a hood draped on their arms. This hood reflects their status as graduate candidates, and as they cross the stage, they will be hooded by their college dean. You will also notice that while all hoods reflect the Embry-Riddle School colors of royal blue and gold, the colors of the satin binding on the hoods are different. Each color distinguishes one college degree from the other. Silver is for the degrees from the College of Aeronautics, to include the Master of Aeronautical Science, the Master of Aviation Maintenance, Master of Science in Aeronautics, Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Master of Science in Airworthiness Engineering, Master of Science in Aviation and Aerospace Sustainability, Master of Science in Cybersecurity Management and Policy, Master of Science in Human Factors, Master of Science in Occupational Safety Management, Master of Science in Unmanned and Autonomous Systems Engineering, Master of Science in Unmanned Systems, and Master of Science in Systems Engineering. Drab is the color for the degrees from the College of Business, to include Masters of Business Administration and Aviation, Master of Science in Engineering Management, Master of Science in Information Security and Assurance, Master of Science in Leadership, Master of Science in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, Master of Science in Management, Master of Science in Management Information Systems, Master of Science in Project Management. Several graduates will be wearing gold medallions. These master's degree candidates are to be graduated with distinction. That means that they have achieved and maintained a grade point average of 4.0 throughout the entirety of their program. As a group, will these students please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Ken Witcher, Dean for the College of Aeronautics, to come to the podium. Dr. Witcher?
Will the candidates for master's degrees from the College of Aeronautics please rise? Dr. Butler, Dr. Watrette, it is my honor to present the candidates for the College of Aeronautics master's degrees as recommended by the faculty.
This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Aviation Maintenance. Stephanie Lesky. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Aeronautics. Ray Beasley, with distinction. Stefano Bijoka. Madeline Durrett. Richard Martin Flores, Jr. Kyle Ladwig, with distinction. Kimberly Rose Mastrocola, with distinction. Brian M. Smith, with distinction. Sabrina Stephanie Suki. Rendinald D. Tan. Adam P. Williams, with distinction. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Unmanned Systems. Jacob Grady Allen. This concludes the presentation of master's degrees from the College of Aeronautics.
At this time, I invite Dr. Manish Sharma, Dean for the College of Business, to come to the podium.
Will the candidates for the master's degrees from the College of Business please rise? Thank you. Dr. Butler, Dr. Autret. It is my honor to present the candidates for the College of Business master's degrees as recommended by the faculty.
This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration and Aviation. Cariel Barcia Zamara. Brandon Tyler Stevens. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Leadership. Anthony Tyrone Tucker II. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. Caitlin Brooke Adams. James Mihelich. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Management Information Systems. Con Quoc Tran. This begins the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Project Management. Brandon Clam. Harvey Joe Campbell II. Willie Carter, with distinction. Matthew Ryan Scott Glenn, with distinction. Gregory McFerrin, with distinction. This concludes the presentation of master's degrees from the College of Business. This also concludes the presentation of master's degrees.
Congratulations. Regarding the undergraduate degree candidates here today, you will notice that a number of them are wearing honor cords. The significance of these honor cords is directly connected with their academic performance. Those graduates who are wearing white cords have achieved a grade point average between 3.5 and 3.69 and graduate cum laude with honors. As a group, will these students please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. Those graduates who are wearing red cords have achieved a grade point average between 3.70 and 3.89, and they graduate today magna cum laude with great honors. As a group, will these students please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Please be seated. Those graduates who are wearing gold cords have achieved a grade point average between 3.90 and 4.0 and graduate today summa cum laude with highest honors. As a group, will these students please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Please be seated. Dr. Witcher, will you please come to the podium to present the undergraduate candidates from the College of Aeronautics?
Will the candidates for bachelor's and associate's degrees from the College of Aeronautics please rise? Dr. Butler, Dr. Watrette, it is my honor to present the candidates for the College of Aeronautics bachelor's and associate's degrees as recommended by the faculty.
This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aeronautics. Thomas Paul Berglund. Brian Alexander Buckhorn, cum laude. Christopher Stephen Birch, summa cum laude. Benito Ivan Carrasco, cum laude. Thomas J. Cook. Jonathan Cox, magna cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. Elvis Antonio Fernandez, cum laude. Joshua Davis Flemings, magna cum laude. Marvin Angelio Hamilton, cum laude. Brian Hawkinson, magna cum laude. Dylan Alfred Jones. Emily Grace Ann Lawless. Philip James Lewis. Christopher Lowera, cum laude. Taylin Martinez. Tylin Lewis McDaniel, magna cum laude. Scott Brian Moore. John Calvin Morris. James Jacob Nye. John Parma, summa cum laude. Elijah Ross. Jason Schaefer. Michael Ray Snyder. Donovan Stark. Zachary Paul Sikora, summa cum laude. Magali Taylor, magna cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. Melissa Ann Torres, summa cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. Shauna Marie Vandezand, magna cum laude. Flavio Vera, summa cum laude. Kevin Vincent, magna cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Maintenance. Dennis Patrick McKelvey. Stephen Bernard Walker, cum laude. This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Unmanned Aircraft Systems. Jordan Michael Bile, summa cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. This begins the candidates for the degree of Associate of Science in Aeronautics. Michael Conniff. Jeffrey Terrence Martin. This begins the candidates for the degree of Associate of Science in Engineering Fundamentals. Jessica Ann Salinas. This concludes the undergraduate degrees from the College of Aeronautics.
At this time, Dr. Sharma, will you please come to the podium to present the undergraduate candidates from the College of Business and the College of Arts and Sciences?
Will the candidates for the bachelor's and associate's degrees from the College of Business and the College of Arts and Sciences please rise? Dr. Butler, Dr. Watrette, it is my honor to present the candidates for the College of Business and the College of Arts and Sciences, bachelor's and associate degrees as recommended by the faculty.
This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Homeland Security. Diane Reed, summa cum laude, alpha sigma lambda. This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, Connie Ann Sanchez. Darian Asia Williams. This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Project Management, Nick Adam Sweeney, summa cum laude, Alpha Sigma Lambda. This begins the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Technical Management, Carolyn Lenore Beach. David A. Burkamp, magna cum laude. Carol Camona, cum laude. Emery Galarza. Timothy Wayne Kenny, magna cum laude, Alpha Sigma Lambda. Nicholas Anthony Mays, Sr. Joel Torres, magna cum laude. Kiana L. Tressler, magna cum laude. This concludes the undergraduate degrees from the College of Business and the College of Arts and Science. This also concludes the presentation of undergraduate degrees.
We have now arrived at the moment for which we all have been waiting. Dr. Butler, will you please join me at the podium? Will all graduating candidates from the colleges please rise and remain standing? Dr. Butler, these candidates have completed all the requirements for their degree. With the recommendation of the faculty of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, I am pleased to present them to you for the conferring of degrees.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you as appropriate the Associate in Science degree, the Bachelor of Science degree, and the Master of Science degree with all rights, privileges, honors, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations, graduates. You may now, please go ahead, it's okay. Cheering is perfectly allowed. So you may now move your tassel to the left side of your mortarboard, symbolizing your new status as a graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you join us in standing as we sing the alma mater. The words of the alma mater are on the last page of your program.
Eagles gather near, we lift our voices loud and clear, soaring high, O alma mater, threads of blue and gold. United we soar in vast open skies, Embry-Riddle, we hail thee, great memories we'll hold. So here's to you, old DRAU, alma mater true. We pledge in love and harmony our loyalty to you. Singing thy praise, remembering the days, coast to coast around the world, our bond forever true. Embracing our dreams with pride far and wide. Embry-Riddle, we hail thee, great memories we'll hold. So here's to you, old DRAU, alma mater true. We pledge in love and harmony our loyalty to you.
We are delighted all of you could be here today to share in this special occasion. Please remain standing one more time. I'm going to ask Mr. Pepin to join me here at the podium in offering a closing benediction. Mr. Pepin.
It was 2014 when I had met Harriet and Ozzie. Harriet and Ozzie had decided that they were going to prepare their house for the arrival of two small birds. Harriet and Ozzie were eagles. And for 9 weeks, my wife watched Facebook and told me every day the things that those little eaglets did. I got sick of Facebook. I mean, to the point of 2:30 in the morning, hey, they got a nice fish that they're eating. See, Ozzie and Harriet taught those little eaglets what it was like and what they needed to do for life. Then came the day. I came home and my wife was in tears. The eaglets had been fledged. They had been thrown from the nest. And she thought for sure that that was the worst that could ever happen. But it isn't. When an eagle is fledged, it takes off and it soars. So today, graduates, we fledge you. Go and do great things and show the world what Embry-Riddle Eagles are all about. Now, as we leave this place, may eternal love enfold us. May spiritual power strengthen us. May strong hands comfort us. And may we be carried on eagle's wings until we meet again. Amen.
Family and friends, please be seated. We ask that you remain seated until the platform party, faculty, and all graduates have exited. Thank you.